Howdy everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. Alright everyone, today's kids craft is going to be a mittens and stocking garland. Let me show you what the supplies are going to be and then we can get to crafting. Alright, so the first item that we're going to need are going to be some fabric pieces to create our stockings and our mittens. If you have a quarter yard or even half a yard, depending on how much of these stockings or mittens you want to make, that should be good enough. I got an extra fabric sort of as a trim, and then I've got an extra one because I'm going to be cutting some little scrappy bits. So basically what you want is maybe 3 fabrics. If you want to use a combination of more, go right ahead. Those are my fabrics. Okay, I also am going to need a cookie cutter in the shape of a mitten and one in the shape of a stocking. Now, if you're able to cut out a mitten and a stocking just by drawing one on a piece of paper and then using that as your pattern, that is great. Otherwise, we can use these cookie cutters, or if you have a stencil to do so, then go right ahead and use that. Okay, to decorate my garland, obviously I'm going to need something to create the garland. So I'm going to be using this thicker twine piece that I have, this rope. You can use ribbon if you prefer to use that. And then I've got this thinner twine right here that I'm also going to be using to tie my mittens and stockings onto my garland. I'm also going to be using some jingle bells to embellish my garland. So I've got these. You can use smaller ones. You don't have to use big ones like what I'm using. I've also got some ribbon. You can choose any style that you want that'll go with what you are doing. I also have these little garland ties that I got from the Dollar Tree. They have this pine look to them. I think I might use some bits from this as well to decorate. I'm going to be needing some cotton balls, and I just grabbed these from the Dollar Tree. Aleene's tacky glue or a good Elmer's glue. If you're doing this on your own and kids are not going to be working on this project, then you can use your hot glue gun. I'm going to use a wire cutter probably to cut these little garland ties, scissors to cut out my fabric, and I'm going to use a Sharpie to draw out the pattern of the mitten and the stocking onto my fabric. Okay, so let's get to crafting. The first step is to decide how long we want our garland. Garlands are usually about 6 feet long. So I've got a 6 foot long piece of rope here that I've already measured. You can do 5 feet long if you prefer, or shorter, depending on where you're going to be putting the garland. So you want to measure and to make that decision, and then cut out your piece of either ribbon or rope or even yarn if you want to use that. On the ends, I'm going to take and make a little bit of a loop, and then I'm going to make a knot just to kind of grasp that little end that I folded down, this end right here. Make a knot right there and pull it nice and tight. Just like that. So now I have a little loop at the end where I can hang my garland from. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. Let's see, did I make this long enough? There we go. If you're wondering about how much I'm folding over, let's measure this. I don't know how much I'm folding over. It's about 8 inches that I'm folding like that. And then I'm taking and making a knot and directing that knot closer to the end where this little end of rope is, and then just pull it tight so that I get another loop. Okay, so that's my garland and that's ready. So now I'm going to put that aside, and then I'm going to take my jingle bells, and I think I had 5 of them. You can do as many as you want, and I'm going to take some jute, and I'm just using this one. It happens to be sort of like a red color, and I got this from the Dollar Tree. By the way, I did get this other bigger one from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so I'm going to measure again about 8 inches. Where's my scissors? Right here. Sorry about that noise. And then I'm just going to dangle my bell from that and make a little knot up at the end, just like that, and then we can slide those onto our garland when we are ready. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and prepare all these little jingle bells, and I shall be back. Alright, so now we're going to take the fabric that we're going to use for our stockings and our mittens, whether it's just one print or we decide to use several pieces of fabric to create them. We're going to take that fabric, our cookie cutters, our Sharpie, and our scissors, And I'm going to fold it so that the insides are, the inside of the fabric is facing each other rather than them being on the outside. So I'm just going to refold it by opening it up. Just like that. Get these cotton balls out of the way. And I'm actually just going to fold over a little piece, like about so. The rest of this fabric, I can squish it over that way. Now, I've got the design of my fabric going across. So I want to make sure that I cut these stockings with the little designs going across them like that, rather than cutting it and then the little trees are going to be going sideways. I want them to be standing upward. So you just want to make sure you take a look at your fabric and decide where that should be. So I'm going to cut, and for every stocking that you want to make, you want to cut 2 pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and trace this, and I kind of like it where these little trees are, and a little bit of this trim up in the top. It doesn't really matter because I am going to put another trim on it, but I want those trees to be somewhere in the middle. Let's do this. Okay. And then just trace it. Like that. And just trace as many as you want. So that's actually 2 that I've gotten there so far. The next one I want to do is the mittens, and I want the mittens to have these little poinsettias. So I want the poinsettias to be right on the mitten. And again, you want 2 pieces for each mitten. And if you want to do a pair of mittens hanging together, then you're going to want 4 pieces. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those out for now, and then you'll just cut them out as depending on how many you want. This is what I'm going to cut out for now, but I will end up cutting some more. And I'm just going to cut out this piece. Let's cut it this way first. Makes it a lot easier if I just cut out the portion. Okay, I shall use the rest of that in a minute. All we're going to do is just cut them out along the Sharpie line. And if it's easier for you, and just make 1 Sharpie and then fold them in half and then cut them out like that, and then you have 4 pieces cut out for 2 stockings, that's a great way to do it. If you're going to have the kids do it, you probably just want 2 layers, and give them some good safe scissors to use. And don't worry about the shape that they cut it at. Just want the more or less the shape of the stocking and the mittens. And I'm actually cutting just a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this little stocking, and I'm going to cut out one of the mittens as well. Alright, so I went ahead and I cut 2 mittens and 1 stocking for now, so I want to show you what I'm going to do with them. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to open them and then put them together this way, so that now I know that that's how they're supposed to be facing. So just open them and then close them again. The same with the other one. Okay, so now what we can do is we can bring one over like that. We're going to take a cotton ball, and we're going to just spread it out a little bit so that it's not necessarily a big thick ball. And we're going to somehow fit this into the shape here of the little mitten. And you have to tear off little pieces and move them over. That's what you'll do. Okay, so now that we're going to take the Aleene's tacky glue, and we're going to place it along the edge of our mittens all the way around. And then we're going to place this other piece on top so that they're glued together. Okay, so that's what we want. We want a little puffy mitten, and we want to do the same with the other one. And then we want to do the same with our little stockings that we cut out. So let's go ahead and prepare all the mittens, and I'm going to do them in little pairs, and I'm going to do my little stockings individual. So I'm going to prepare them all, and then we'll be back with the next step. All right, I've got one last one to do. And like I said, if you're going to be doing this, you're not having kids do it, then you can go ahead and use the glue gun. So just to let you know that I did go ahead and use the glue gun on the rest of them so that I could quickly, so I can have them dry up quickly as well. But of course, if I'm having kids do this, I will use my Eileen's tacky glue. And now I'm just putting it around the stocking. Just so I can show you one more time how to do this. It's pretty simple. You can put the cotton in there first and then add in, put your glue on. Or do it as I'm doing it right now. Getting a little messy because I'm tired. Okay, so basically all I'm doing is just taking some of the cotton and putting it in between the glue, kind of shaping along with the stocking. Just a little bit right up here. And a little bit down here at the bottom. Got lots of glue on my fingers, as you should. Place it down and tap down on the little edges. I want to keep some little wet sponges or some little wet wipes or something on the side so the kids can wipe their fingers, because you know some kids, well, I think most of them, including myself, I'm a big kid, we get a little bit frustrated with having glue on our fingers, so we want to wipe that off. So a little wet sponge so we can clean off our fingers in between the projects. Okay, so I'm just making sure that all my parts are close. There's a little bitty bit here, right here, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue right there. Just make sure there's no little openings on it. That's sealed. So now I'm going to let this one dry. These have dried. So I've made 3 stockings, and I've actually made 6 mittens because I'm actually going to make a pair. So it's actually 3 pairs that I have created. Okay, so now I'm going to decorate them. I'm going to take one of the stockings here, and I'm going to take this other fabric that I purchased as my contrasting fabric. I'm going to put these over to the side, and I'm going to cut maybe, let's see, about, is that ½ inch or an inch? An inch would be okay. Okay, so depending on the size of your stocking, or this is actually just a 1/4 yard of fabric that I purchased, by the way, and I did purchase a ½ yard of this other fabric, and I got these from Hobby Lobby. But as you can see, look, I have a lot of fabric left over. So if you're not buying a fabric where you're going to be like trying to figure out where you want your cookie cutter or pattern, whatever you've created, to be, is that something specific that you want on here, then you can probably get away with just using a 1/4 yard of fabric. But if you're going to be looking for specific print, you know, something on the fabric, then get a ½ yard. Okay, it just depends on how many you're going to make as well. So I'm going to cut about an inch strip going down. Now, of course, if you're going to have the kids do this, they'll cut a little bit at a time, so maybe just give them a little piece of fabric and let them cut a bunch of little strips. I'm going to just fold it over together. Maybe you can prepare this ahead of time as well. Okay, so I'm just going to cut about an inch of fabric. And as you can see, I still have lots of it left over, and I can use this fabric for some other little crafts. It's a nice, like a it's a flannel, that's what it is. It's not light, but it is a flannel. And this other one that I got is also a flannel fabric. But it's kind of like a sweater, kind of a print to it. I really like that about it. So that's why I chose that. Okay, so now our little strips, or actually a really long strip, is now 1 inch wide. And I was going to use one of these little stockings, but I'll go ahead and grab a little mitten too. So now I'm just going to measure across and just trim it a little bit. And now this is where you can decide whether you just want to do it on one side or if you want to do it on both sides. Then go ahead and cut 2 pieces of that fabric. So we're going to cut 2 like that, because I'm going to go ahead and do it on both sides because this might dangle around on the garland depending on where I'm going to hang it. And then I'm going to get a piece of string as well. And the string for my stocking, I'm going to cut 8 inches, just like I did for the jingle bells. I'm going to bring it together, make a little bit of a knot. And then this loop, I'm going to put it inside here. Bring this off. Put lots of glue in there. And then glue coming down the edge so that we can put this little piece of fabric back on here. And then we want to do the same to this little piece of fabric. Like so. Put it back on there and glue it down just like that. So then this ends up being inside our little stocking. Okay, if you want to leave it unknotted, just the ends open, you can go ahead and do that. I'm just going to pull this a little bit tighter so that I can, I love this tacky glue because it just starts getting real nice and tacky and things kind of stick together. It's not quite dry, but it sticks things together really well. But if you want to leave this unknotted and then knot it once you put it on your garland, do so. I'm just going to kind of slide them into my garland. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same with all of them, just like on the little mitten. I'm going to do the same thing. Measure and cut, and then do more, or 2 of them for each one. The same thing with a string. But in this case, I'm only going to put one end on here, and then on my other mitten, I'm going to put it on the other mitten. So I'm going to cut about 16 inches of twine, 14 or 16 inches of twine. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put some glue. Put that on there. Put one of the ends in there, and put plenty of glue also on top of the twine, so this fabric sticks to that and gets sandwiched in between. On the other side. Just put as much glue as you think you need. Actually, the kids will probably end up doing this, so they'll probably decide how much glue they want. But just keep an eye on them, because they might put too much glue and then it'll take much longer to dry. Okay, so I've done the same with this one. I'm going to put the twine. There we go. Turn it around. I'm actually cutting this little trim just a little bit wider than the top of the stocking and also of the mitten, so that it looks like a folded over trim on the mittens. So that's what we want with these two. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here so it actually closes up here on the ends. Okay, so that's what we want. And then we can bring this around our rope, our garland rope, and we can put this actually at 2 different heights, like that. We can either bring it around the rope and then knot it, or we can knot it ahead of time and just slide it in like we're doing everything else. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang these where one's just a little bit higher than the other, and I'm going to knot it there. But I'm also going to make another knot up here because I want them to all have the same kind of finish. Like these are all open at the ends. Also on my little jingle bell, it's open on the ends. So then I'll just trim this so I have that same look. Okay, so there you go, just like that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up my stockings and my mittens, and I shall be back for the next step. All right, in this next step, we're going to be using some items that are completely optional: ribbons, scrap of fabric, and these garland ties that I got at the Dollar Tree. The garland ties, they're 12-inch long, so I'm just basically going to cut them in half, and I'm going to have a couple of 6-inch pieces like that. Whether you want to add them or not is up to you. I'm just going to cut one because I want to see how that's going to look. So I'm going to put that over to the side. And on my ribbon, I want to cut, and it doesn't have to be a thin ribbon like this. It could be a lot thicker ribbon, or you could just use a thin ribbon and a thicker ribbon instead of having to use a fabric here. So now I'm going to just cut 8-inch pieces. And I probably want to cut maybe 5 or 6 of these. So just go ahead and cut that. Now on my scrap of fabric, I'm going to cut, again, just like I did the trim that I put on the little mittens and the glove and the little stockings. I'm going to do about 1-inch strip. So I'll cut that right now. Just cut what you can out of the length of scrappy fabric, and it got wider as I went along. That's okay. I'll trim that off. I'm going to cut this fold here, and I'm also going to cut 8-inch pieces of that. And I also only want maybe 5 or 6 scraps, so that's what I'm going to cut. Again, if you don't want to use or don't have scrap fabric that you want to use or have to buy, then just use ribbons or don't use any of this at all. It's completely optional. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare my bits here that I'm going to use to help decorate my garland, and then I shall be back. Alright, so what I have here is my string of what I'm going to use to create my garland, and I've got this ready. I'm going to find the center, so I'm just going to fold it right here and just lay it across on the table so that you can see it. This is my center, so I'm going to take one of my bells and right in the middle, and I could just insert the string and bring it all the way down to the center, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring the bell, and within its little loop here, push it through, and then just pull on it, making sure that's the middle. And that's how I'm going to apply these bells on my garland. So now I'm going to just kind of find another section where I can put the next one. And I'm going to pull this string separate here just a little bit and push this one back, and then we'll work on this one. So I think one right about right here, and then maybe another one right about here. And you just space them out however you want them to go. I was trying something, but that wasn't working. So this will. Okay. Okay, there we go. That's where I want those placed. Now I want a stocking right here, one over here, one in the middle here. You can see that. And then I'm going to want a pair of mittens here, one over here, and then one over on the other side of this bell. So I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the bells and bring the item through itself. I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of folding and then tucking them in before I pull them through. Okay? Just because the loops are kind of small. So just kind of rolled little stocking. Like I said, you can tie these or knot these after you have put them on the rope. Just knot them out afterwards. There we go. That worked out. And I'm just going to kind of align it where I think it should go. And then I can just pull on it and make it tight. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling on this rope, this one from the garland. That makes it nice and tight. Okay, so now I just want to put the other items in their place where I have spaced them out. And I shall be back. All right, I have gotten all my little pieces where I want them, and I've spaced out the items on my garland just as I want them. See? So that you can see that. So what I've done is I've put stocking, mitten, stocking, mittens, stocking, and then mittens on the other end. Okay, now I've got my little scrappies of fabric and ribbon here, and I've also got these little bits of pine, and I kind of wanted to see how they would look, so I'm just going to go maybe where the little bells are and twist this just a couple of times just to see how that looks. I don't know that I like that. I'm going to go ahead and put them on. All I'm doing is just bringing it around and twisting the pine just so that it doesn't unwind on there. And then just kind of fold it down like a little V, if you will. I'm just doing it over where the bell is. Okay. You know what? I kind of like it now that it's on here. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the same thing with my little scraps of fabric. Just put them wherever and just tie them or knot them on. So I'm going to put this little kind of tan one. And if I need to cut more, I will. I'm not sure if I cut enough of these. Put this one right next to it. Or tie them at the same time. I think this one I only need to not tie it around once. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so let me go ahead and continue doing it to the rest of my garland, and I shall be back. All right, everyone, I have decided to cut more of these strips of fabric and more of these little ribbons, and I've gone ahead and I filled in between mittens and the bells, or the stocking, the bells, the mittens, and so forth. I've put little clusters, tied them on here in between the other items. So I think that looks really nice and full. I think the garland looks really cute. Look at that. I hope that you liked it. I love it. And I hope that you will do this with the kids. This is a great little project if you can do it yourself and give it as a gift maybe to a teacher. Like, again, you could take something like this and take it to a nursery. It doesn't have to be Christmas themed. It can be any themed. If you don't want to do mittens and stockings, you can do stars. So you just look at your cookie cutter. Some of them are shaped in snowmen. Some of them are shaped in trees. Some of them are stars, etc. And you can use any of those and cut them all in different pieces of fabric. Maybe you want to just use this idea of the cookie cutter shapes and just put those all over your garland, and you don't have to put any bells or any other ribbon or anything else. Just use this idea. You can, like I said, yarn or even on some ribbon if you don't want to use rope. I think it looks really cute, as I said already, and I'm very happy with it, and it would be a great gift or a great craft with the kids. So that is it. I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up. I hope that you will give me a big old thumbs up. Leave a nice comment down below. Let me know what you will be doing, if you're going to be following the same idea, or you're going to change it up a bit. Who are you going to give it to? Or are you just going to do it with the kids? Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And thank you so very much to everyone who has been subscribing. Thank you and welcome to my channel. And I hope that you will enjoy all my videos. Please hit that little notification bell as well so that you can be notified when my videos will be popping up. Now, I do upload every Tuesday and Friday, but this week is all kids crafts, so I'm going to be throwing in some extra videos here and there, and then I'm going to resume to my regular crafting and recipes. So that's it. Make sure you share your social medias, and as always, enjoy.